Hello, everybody. Today we are going to review the movie Plane, which came out earlier this year, and I just didn't sit down to review it the first time I watched it, so now I am actually sitting down to review it a couple days after I've seen it. So this movie, it seems that they have been doing this lately, where they kind of come up with like a very generic, basic title, and it ends up producing a fairly good, like a reasonably good movie, which I'm actually surprised about. And cool news is I just seen on Instagram tonight that there's going to be a trailer for the new Expendables tomorrow morning, so I'm super pumped for that as well. Um, so yeah, this is starring Gerard Butler as Brody Torrance. Oh my God. Mike Coulter as Louis Gaspar. Uh, Tony Goldwyn as Scarsdale. Uh, Yoso On as Samuel Dele. Uh, Evan Dane Taylor as Datu Jumar, or Junmar, I guess is how you would say it. Paul Ben Victor as Terry Hampton. Uh, Daniela Pineda as Bonnie Lane. Why does she look so familiar? Oh, she was in Jurassic. Oh, right, the Jurassic Park movies. Okay. There must have been something else that she was in that I recognize it from, too. Nope, not seeing it here. Oh, Vampire Diaries, maybe. Oh, she's college humor videos. Okay. Okay, so she's been around for a while, I guess. And then we had, I guess everybody else is kind of like secondary characters, really. Yeah, that was kind of like the main cast. So this is about a pilot who is ex-military carrying a fugitive who has been charged of murder but is extradited on his charges. Now, don't get me into legal terms. I don't really know exactly what all that means, but so anyway, he's being transported from one place to the other uh, on this plane when the plane goes out of like absolutely out of commission due to it being hit by lightning in a severe storm, which is kind of funny that that nobody told them that they should just fly around the storm, fly through it to, I guess, obviously because flying through it is the fastest route, so they just said fly through it because we believe you'll be able to fly above the storm anyway, so it shouldn't be an issue. Obviously, it was. And then the plane, there's basically two options. Well, actually, it seems like there's only one option, like they're going to have to land in the ocean somewhere, which would have been way worse than what actually ended up happening. So Brody and his co pilot Samuel are actually able to land the plane on an island, but they don't know exactly where their pinpoint location is. But Samuel believes they're probably somewhere in the. I think it was it the Philippines and the Jolo cluster or something. I'm gonna have to look exactly Jolo cluster where exactly that is. We're actually gonna look this up. Okay, so yeah, they are in the Philippines on an island in the Jolo cluster, and the land is like the Filipino army won't even go there anymore because whatever island they happen to land on is owned by separatists and militias. So the military's basically been getting their butts handed to them the amount of times they've gone there. So there is really no rescue except for who Scarsdale decides to put in, which is, I think, like, was it like private operatives basically? So guys who are going in and they have to kind of find their own way out. Uh, Now, the rescue team that is behind the team that goes in originally is 24 hours behind, and we all know how that's going to go. Because when they land the plane, uh, Brody takes Gaspar with him in order to find a radio or phone or some place to get contact with somebody. When he first calls the airfield, they don't believe who he is because he doesn't have his badge with him. So they end up hanging up on him, or the call disconnects. So then he tries his daughter. His daughter obviously listens and takes it to... Now, what was the airline he was flying with? Oh, damn, I just watched this like 2 days ago. It wasn't, no. You would think it would say, but it doesn't. Anyway, sorry that I can't remember the name of the airline. But, so he gets his daughter to take it to the airline so that they will have at least some sort of, like, believability of what's going on. I believe that Scarsdale ends up getting hold of the call anyway, so he knows like some sort of position as to where to look for them. Because I think he mentioned something about somebody thinking it was a prank call, but it wasn't. So then we get the issue of the people from the plane being captured by Datu. And I guess he pretty much runs the island at this point, so according to the one guy anyway that's under leadership of him, or that is under his leadership, sorry, says that he runs the island, whatever Datu does, or whatever he says goes, kind of thing. So he takes all of the passengers on the plane captive, and now Brody and oh my god, Gaspar, I think was how you pronounced it, have to go after them. And that's where the movie starts to get a little more interesting, because this wasn't... It was kind of interesting because although this was supposed to be about, like, the plane, I guess, in a sense, it became more than just that, even though somehow, everything kind of came back to the plane in the end, so the movie really kind of centered, like, that was the focal, like, the center point of the movie. So it was kind of interesting that even though there was a story going on, they still somehow were able to, like, in most scenes, bring the movie back to the plane. It was kind of cool how they just incorporated the plane into the movie, even though there was much more going on than just the landing of the plane due to the storm, right? So him and Gaspar end up saving the people, but he thinks that the only way to save them is to, I guess, sacrifice himself, and somehow get the rest of them out of there. Luckily, before Brody is able to be killed, the team shows up that was sent to rescue them, and there's a big, huge gunfight. They have to hop on the bus. The bus goes back to the plane. Brody figures that the only way for them to actually make it off of the island is to get back on the plane and try to fly it off, which almost doesn't work, and they end up having to land on another island close by with an actual airport, and luckily they didn't have to land back on, like, a different island in the Philippines. I can't remember where they ended up actually landing at the end of the movie, but luckily it wasn't as bad as because he kind of jokes, he says at least this wasn't as bad as the first layover, right? Which would have been horrible if they had landed on, like, had to have landed on the same island or in the water or something, because I don't think any of them would have made it if they had to land on the water, because obviously they had to... the next team was... the next team was 24 hours behind, so yeah, I don't see how that would have been beneficial to them in any way, shape, or form. But this was the one scene at the end with my favorite scene probably was the guy with the sniper rifle at the very end when all of the militia guys are coming in and he's using armor-piercing rounds through the vehicle to shoot them. Yeah, so this movie was definitely brutal in a sense in some parts, but it was kind of like a slow burn again, like some of these movies are, where it looked like, I feel like they could have done something different with the trailer to not show so many of the action bits in it. But I guess that was kind of really what was supposed to sell the movie, was the action parts. I mean, not that it was lacking in action, but there was more of a story behind it than just the action bits, which I wish they had have maybe shown that in the trailer, like more the story side of things, and then left the action bits out so that you could just experience those throughout the movie, because it kind of dulled it down a little bit, I think, maybe, because it was kind of like few and far between with the action scenes, but they were there, but it wasn't quite as, it kind of took away the intensity of them, I guess, in a sense, once you'd already seen them in the trailer, right? But this movie is still very much deserving of on the higher side rating, I guess. So I gave this movie an 8 out of 10. I thought it was very well deserving of that. And Gerard Butler and Michael Coulter had very good chemistry on screen together. So I think Gerard Butler just kind of works well with anybody he's really in a film with. He's just a phenomenal actor. So, and not to take away from Michael Coulter, because if you've ever seen Luke Cage, we know his acting chops are right up there too. So definitely, he's definitely making a name for himself now. I think being in this was like really his first like big movie. I could be wrong, but this was the first like big Hollywood movie that I've ever seen him on a big screen in anyway. So yeah, kind of interested to see what kind of other movies he's going to do. It would have been cool to see him in like an Expendables movie, but I don't know. Maybe we'll get an Expendables 5. Maybe that'll happen now that we're getting an Expendables 4. So I think it would be cool to see him in one of those movies too. I think he would fit well. But anyhow, yeah, 8 out of 10 for this movie, and I will see you guys in the next review. Bye-bye for now.